Hi there, welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 338 and I'm Lisa, also known as Fiber Nymph on most of social media. Today is a very sunny Saturday, May 23rd, and it's a beautiful day. And I was sitting inside and I thought, I have got to get out of this house. I have to get outside. And I wanted to record today. So I have carted all my stuff. Well, not all of it. I had to pick and choose today. So I carted a bunch of stuff down here. Then it took me about 20 minutes of wandering around the lower part of our property, which is all wooded, to try to find a good spot to record, which ended up proving more difficult than I thought it would. And I'm sorry, I'm going to be swatting at little gnats the whole time I do this, apparently. How are you? Happy Memorial Day weekend if you're here in the U.S. and you are celebrating that. I hope you have a lovely long weekend if you're getting a long weekend. Hope you're safe, and I know it's not a lot of fun whenever you have to socially distance yourself and you want to have fun on a holiday, but you know, hopefully you can have maybe a socially distant picnic with your family or friends. Whatever. Do what you can do and have a nice time, but stay safe. I have water with me because, oh my gosh, it's really muggy down here in the woods too, so sorry. Don't have coffee this week. I've got my water bottle. I have my show notes printed out since obviously I couldn't lug my computer down here. Well, I could have, but I wasn't gonna. So we're gonna get on with things here. I've got some stuff to tell you, and I'm gonna start actually. I've got a bunch of announcements, and some of them are actually shop-oriented announcements, but I'm gonna put them up here at the top just because I know sometimes you don't make it all the way through to the shop news because, you know, life, but you might want to know that these things are going to be talked about later on, and if you do want to know about those, then you'll know to pop back in there and check that out when you get a chance. Number one, I have a spring clearance sale going on in the shop right now. No coupon code necessary. Just go to the shop, and anywhere you see a little pink sale button on an item, or tag, not a button, you don't click it. Any place you see the little pink sale tag, that means that item is at least 20% off. And that's going to be running through the remainder of the month of May, so check that out if you're interested. I'm going to be adding some grab bags, hopefully later today or first thing tomorrow morning. I have them all together, I just need to get them listed, so those will also be going up. I don't know that the sale tag will be on those though, because I'm going to be listing them at the sale price. But just know that they are always drastically discounted over their retail price. My holiday mini countdown sets are going to go up for pre-order on June 1st. So that's coming up pretty quickly. I have all of the information about those now up both on a page on the website. So you can go to the FiberNymphDyeWorks.com website, and the front page banner right now talks about that, but there's also a link up at the top in the menu bar that says holiday, I don't know, holiday countdown sets or something. You'll know what they are. You can click there and see all of the information about those. I'm really excited about them for this year. I also have a thread up in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group on Ravelry that has all that same information, so you can check either of those places and find out about those. And I will talk a little bit more in depth about them in the show shop news segment at the end of the podcast. Another thing I want to let you know I'm going to be doing is I am a Pro Shop sponsor again this year for the Down Cellar Studio Splash Pad Party, and Jen is doing a kickoff online this year, right, since she can't do an in-person event. So the online event is taking place next weekend, both Saturday and Sunday, and a bunch of the sponsors are going to be doing live spots either on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook maybe. Anyway, she has a whole calendar of those, or a schedule of those in her group, which I will link to in the show notes. I am going to be doing a YouTube live on Sunday next weekend, which I think is the 29th. Is it? No, it's the 31st at 1 o'clock. I have never done a YouTube live. I've never done anything live before. So in order to make sure I know what I'm doing, I'm going to do a practice run of a YouTube live on Monday, this coming Monday, which is Memorial Day here in the US. So that's the 25th, and I'm going to do that at 1 p.m. also. So same time, just a different day. So if you're around and you want to be one of my YouTube live guinea pig people, tune in. I have no idea what this even entails to do this, but I'm going to try to set it up and have it ready to go for Monday at 1 o'clock. I'm up for it. Whatever. It'll be fun. I'll think of something fun to talk to you about live. Yeah, but on next Sunday, when I'm doing the one for the splash pad party, I'm going to be talking about things I'll have in the shop specifically for that. And oh, I don't know, I haven't actually even thought much about it, to tell you the truth, but you know, we'll have fun. And you can talk to me. You can't actually verbally talk to me, but you can type things to me and I can answer questions, I guess. Is that how that works? We'll try it. So that will be, the practice one will be Monday, the real one will be next Sunday. All right, I think that's all the announcements I had for you up front. Goodness, let's talk about what's in the show. I've got some finished objects for you. I've got a couple of things that I've started since I talked to you last time, and then I've got some projects that are on deck that I want to start soon. And then I've got a little bit of 10% for you and some shop news. So let's see how we can get through this. If we can get through it without too much lag. Not like there's ever lag, but you know what I mean. Hey, I have a finished sweater. No, I'm not wearing it because it's hot. My Lineage Pullover is now finished. I'm so happy with this sweater. Yeah, so you can see about, it comes down to about just below hip level on me. I will insert some pictures here of me wearing it. My daughter took some the other day. Oh, by the way, my daughter's here. Not here, but she moved back to Pennsylvania and she's staying with us for an indeterminate amount of time. But yeah, that's something new in life, so that's very exciting. I'll talk a little bit more about that. But anyway, she took pictures for me the other day. So when you saw it last, I think I was on the first sleeve, or maybe I'd finished the first sleeve, I don't remember. I finally did the second sleeve, obviously, and didn't have any problems with that because I had written out step by step what I did on this one, so they matched perfectly. The only thing I forgot to do on the second sleeve was I forgot to pick up underarm stitches. I just like knit around and skipped over that little area, so I never picked up stitches, and I think on the other one I picked up 4 stitches, so I ended up having to eliminate 2 of my sleeve decreases in the second sleeve. It's fine. I can't tell the difference. It's a roomy enough sleeve to begin with. It doesn't feel any different to me, but that was one mistake I made. So anyway, I finished both sleeves, and then you'll remember me mentioning to you that the hemline was doing a little flippy thing because when I did the ribbing originally, I'd forgotten to go down in needle size, and so I'd used the US 4 that I had done the whole body on. So I ripped that out and I went down to a US 2, which is what the neckline and the cuffs, I did the cuffs on 3s, and then the last round and the bind off I did on 2s. Don't ask me why, it's just how I did it. No rhyme or reason for it. Anyway, so I did the hem over in 2s. It's fine now, it doesn't flip anymore. So then I tried it on, and I knew the neck was going to be really wide because it had been getting pulled on a lot while I was knitting the sleeves, because you know, as you're knitting sleeves in the round, the sleeves twist up and you have to untwist them, and I was just basically holding the sweater out here by the sleeve and letting it untwist, so I knew I was putting a lot of strain on the neckline. So I figured after it was, you know, soaked and blocked and dry, it would probably bounce back and be fine. Well, no, it didn't. I even tossed it in the dryer because it's a superwash yarn. This is one of my Serendipity Sweater Sets made in my Mountain Tweed DK. They're all one of a kind, so the colorway was Ember, but I'll never do another one that's exactly like this, so that doesn't really matter. Anyway, so I threw it in the dryer thinking that would help snug it up, and it really didn't. It was way out to here, like out the neckline. And you could see my bra straps, and it's like, this is going to be a pain. And at that point I thought, well, I could try doing a crochet reinforcement, but I didn't think that that would pull it in enough without also looking really funny. So I finally determined that I needed to reknit the neckline. However, since it's a top-down sweater, it wasn't something I could just unravel. So I ended up threading my needles in right below the ribbing. And then I snipped and I pulled out that first row painstakingly because these neps, these nylon neps in this yarn that give it the tweedy look, they want to just cling. Especially after you've thrown it in the dryer, apparently. So that was a long process. So I got the ribbing off the neckline, and I was going to unwind it, you know, rind it up into a ball and use it again to reknit the neckline. And I was planning to just do some decreases to like bring it in so I wouldn't have quite as many stitches. Well, that neckline did not want to unravel. Those little neps were just clinging and sticking to each other so much. I gave up because I was going to be spending way too much time on that. And I had very little yarn left over, but I did have just enough of the Serendipity skein yarn to do the neckline over. Because the neckline that I had snipped off weighed 11 grams, I had 12 grams of this left. And I knew I was going to be knitting it at a tighter gauge too, so I thought that could be okay. And it was fine. I ended up with less than 25 grams of yarn out of all 6 of those skeins. So I really did use up that whole set. Anyway, so I started knitting it again. I went down to US 1s. I did do some decreases on either side, like right above the shoulders. So I decreased some stitches there. And when I was done with it that time, it was tighter, but it was still not in as far as I would have really liked it. So then I went in and I did the crochet reinforcement, which you can see in that orangey gold color. And after I did that, that seemed to do the trick. It now sits so that it's like right over top of my bra strap, like so they don't show. So that was a lot of fussing around one morning. Like that was several hours worth of work one morning. And so I'm very happy to be done with this sweater. If I had it to do over again, because this was not an issue of gauge. I got gauge on this sweater. And it fits very nicely. Hopefully you'll see that from the pictures. If I had it to do over again, I would probably go down at least one size, if not 2, for my casting on. Because as much as I like that rectangular shape of the neckline, I don't like it being as wide as it was. So I think if I would have gone down a size or 2 and then just increased up so that once I was here to the upper bust area, I was going to be the size I wanted to knit, I think that would have been better. But I feel like that's a problem I've had with other sweaters too, and I just never remember it at the time. So hopefully I'll keep it in mind for my next sweater project. But all in all, I'm super happy with this. I'm glad it's done. Again, that's the Lineage Pullover by GabrielleVezina. I'm doing that by memory. Let me double check my notes here. GabrielleVezina, yes. Yeah, and it was beautiful. I did weave in originally 80 ends, and that was before I had finished the neckline, and I ended up with a lot more ends. I think in all I ended up with like 86, 88 necklines. Can you hear that? That's a cow. There's a farm back behind me. And there's a cow in distress or something. Okay, so yeah, it was a lot of ends to weave in. I guess I'm just holding my glasses today and waving them around. Sweater is finished. Yay. The other finished object I have are my husband's birthday socks. I did not put them on sock blockers today, and I'm sorry. Maybe if I hold them back here, can you see? Oh, here, we'll do them this way. Can you see the colors a little better? So, I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see this in this light, but this was Paton Kroy FX in the Chambray Colors colorway. These were these two balls that were 250-gram balls, same dye lot. Look how differently they knit up. This was the first one. You had very, very distinct blocks of color in this one. Can you see those? This is the second one. Very mushy blocks of color. The same colors are in it, but they are just not as clearly defined. Now, I'm pretty sure it's probably the way the yarn was plied. I mean, it's a commercial yarn. I've knit with this a few other times. I've never had this crazy distinct of a difference between two balls before. So, you know, it's fine. They're wearable, obviously, and my husband, honestly, he didn't care. He's like, they'll be fine, whatever. He's happy to have a warm pair of socks. But I just thought it was very weird that they were that different. So what's your experience? If you've used Paton Kroy FX before, have you ever had that big of a difference between two balls from the same dye lot? I haven't. Anyway, so these were just 2x1 rib socks, which I did a regular heel flap gusset, my normal sock recipe. Bill likes to have a ribbed cuff, so that's why I always do his socks that way. I did these on US 1.5s, I think. It's in my project page for sure, but I'm pretty sure I did 1.5s. It's a nice dense sock, that's for sure. So those are my two finished objects. I only have two works in progress to show you today because they're the things that I've worked on the most. I need to take a drink. Wow, that cow is really having an issue. All right. So the first thing I'm going to show you is a crochet project that you've seen before, and I'm still working on it and enjoying it so much. It's my half a Granny Square Shawl. Isn't it beautiful? I just love all these colors. They're so bright and happy. So I did not bring my bin of yarn down that I've been using, but you've seen my bin before. And it was all my DK weight and worsted weight leftovers, Fiber and Dye Works yarn leftovers that I have from across the years, and I'm trying to use it up. So I got the bin down. It was well below half, like that I had used up in this. I've not weighed this to see how much is in it yet. This has got to be at least like, gosh, I want to say at least 2 skeins, if not 3, going on 3 skeins worth of yarn at this point. Crochet really eats up yarn. Anyway, but I was getting down to the point where most of what I had was either pinks or greens and not a lot of the other colors left, because each row is now really long and it's taking a lot of yarn to get through. So I thought, I don't want to dye in yarn for this, but I also don't want to end the shawl just in pinks and greens. So then while I was cleaning something else up, I was organizing something, I had a bin that I thought, it was a basket that I thought was all leftover non-superwash yarn, but apparently I had thrown in a whole bunch of superwash scraps too in DK and worsted. So I found a whole bunch more. Ironically, some of it is also pink and green. I guess I knit with a lot of pink and green yarn. I don't remember knitting with a lot of pink and green yarn, but apparently I do. Yeah, so I ended up with a whole bunch more colors to play with, so that's good. I'm trying to do each row in one single color. There have been a couple of times where I've run out and then had to, you know, do something else at the very end. Like, let's see, it's not a big deal, but I think like maybe one of these yellow stripes or gold stripes, I don't know. There's a few places in here where I've had to switch colors towards the very end to make it to the end of the row. I can't even pick one out right now. So obviously it's not a big deal. But these are all semi-solids. They're all either my Bona Fide or Beguiled DK weights. Beguiled is the sparkly one, so I do have a little bit of sparkle in here. Like the silver is a sparkly, you're probably not going to be able to see it in this light. Anyway, whatever. There are a few sparkly colors, and some of my cozy worsted weight. I have a couple in here that are actually not semi-solids, they're variegateds or tonals, but for the most part it's semi-solids. And oh, there's one speckled row. This white row, you can see it has blue speckles in it. I think that was my snow day colorway, because there's little pink pops in there occasionally too. So anyway, I'm having so much fun with this. I love it, and it's really getting big, and I want it to be like, I want it to be really big and squishy. So it's getting there. Like, the nice thing about doing a half triangle is that you end up with or a half square is that you end up with a elongated triangle. Because that's what a half square is an elongated triangle. I know there's a technical name for that triangle. I'm not remembering what it is, sorry. It's been a long time since I took geometry. Something was touching my ankle and I thought it might be something creepy, but it wasn't. It was just the blanket that I'm sitting on. So anyhow, yes, I'm gonna just keep going with this until I either get tired of doing it or I feel like it's definitely big enough. I just want it to be so big that I can just wrap up in it and be all cozy and squishy. I would love it to like be the size of my hedge witch shawl. That's a nice big one. I love big shawls like that. Big, squishy, heavyweight yarn shawls. So that is that. So this is actually a pattern. This is the same pattern I used to do those little head kerchiefs that I did that you saw, I think, the last time. I had done those out of sport weight yarn though. And this is such an excellent project to do with leftovers. Half a Granny Square Shawl. It's by Churchmouse Yarns and Teas. You do have to sign up for their newsletter in order to download the pattern, and it's from their website, though I believe it's linked through Ravelry. At least that's how I got it. So I'll put the link in the show notes to my project page, and you can find it there. Anyway, yeah, I'm using an H hook, which seems to be working pretty well. And again, it's all scraps. It's an excellent scrap busting project, unless you then find a whole bunch more scraps and realize that you've refilled your scrap bin, like I did. But whatever, scraps are good. I love using scraps. I seem to be on a scrap bin, which reminds me, we're doing the leftovers challenge. Are you taking part in that? That's just sort of a very informal along that we're doing. I announced it last time, and I'm going to let the thread in the Ravelry group run through when I record first in June. I'll close it right before I record and draw some prize winners, depending on how many people are participating. But there's some participation in there. So if you have yarn scraps, and by scraps I mean just like leftovers from other projects, you know, big leftovers, little leftovers, whatever, and you want to make projects, take part. There's no minimum yardage requirements or anything like that. You can do whatever you want, but just take part. It'll be fun. Okay, so that is that shawl project, and I am, as you've noticed, there's not a lot of ends hanging. I only have these few little ends hanging right now. That's because every, I would say, 10 or so rows, I stop and I weave in my ends so that I'm not left with an entire shawl's worth of ends to weave in at the end. Okay, so the only other project that I'm actively working on right now is a new pair of socks. And I wanted to work on this pair of socks because this yarn was one of my 20 and 20 items this year. So, get this untangled. I'm doing the gusset decreases, so it's kind of looking a little wonky on the needles right now. I'll show you my progress so far. It's going to be a shorty sock, and this is a fingering weight shorty sock. I'll try to angle it towards the sun so you can see the colors. Such pretty colors, though. So this is actually Leading Men Fiber Arts yarn. This is not my yarn. This one, because this is their Showstopper base, which is a light fingering weight 75/25 superwash merino nylon. This really pretty pinkish purple is Raspberry Parfait, and then this white one with the speckles is Cherry Blossoms, I believe is the name. So these were 2 half skeins. Here's the Cherry Blossoms in the skein. I didn't bring the other skein down, sorry. So obviously I'm doing the cuff and the heel, and then I'll do the toe also in the Raspberry Parfait, and then the body of the sock is in the Cherry Blossoms. I'm going to weigh what I have left after this first sock. If I have enough, I'll do them both the same way, but I have the feeling I might not have enough, and so I'll swap them around, and I'll use Cherry Blossoms for my cuff, heel, and toe on the second sock, and do the body of the sock in the Raspberry Parfait. I may end up doing it that way anyway, just because I really like to do that sometimes, but we'll see. US 1 needles, over 60 stitches, my normal just vanilla sock recipe, and I'm enjoying it. It's a nice little sock project. I've said I don't really need more socks, and I don't need more like regular socks, but I really have gotten to like wearing shorty socks, and all of my shorty socks are either sport weight or heavier. So I think I'm gonna, maybe my next few pairs of socks are gonna be some fingering weight shorty socks for me, because even in the warmer weather, it's chilly in our house sometimes, and I like to sleep in socks sometimes if it's chilly. So anyway, those will be good for that. So that's all of the projects that I'm actively working on. I do have some on-deck projects. Since I have that sweater off the needles, I want to be working on another sweater. I bought yarn during Virtual Maryland from Cece's Wool. I bought it specifically to do a So Faded, and I have it all ready to go. I wound up all 3 skeins. They were really big skeins. They have like 560 yards on them. And so I wound all 3 of them into balls, and then I split them into half balls. So I've got 6 balls I'll be working from. I did that because I didn't want to end up with any pooling in the solid sections. I don't know it would be an issue because they're all pretty heavily speckled and everything, but I felt better doing it that way. But that's a fingering weight sweater, and I'm not sure I want to work on that right now either, even though that would be a good one to work on. But then, as I was going through stuff again this week, I came across my swatches that I did for my Weekender, which is another Andrea Mowry pattern, as So Faded is. And do you remember this? This is my combo spin that I did a couple years ago, specifically for this sweater. And oh my gosh, I love these colors so much. I think I may have to cast this on. It should go pretty quickly though, because it's like, what, a worsted weight sweater. And I just absolutely love the colors. So this is my one swatch, and this is my other swatch. I did the little slip stitch detail. I'm sorry, I'm trying to hold this up to the light so you can see it better. Yeah, and the colors make me so happy. And I was originally thinking that I might need to alternate skeins, because some of my skeins are very different from that combo spin, but I feel like I'm gonna lose that gradiated look that you're getting. Like, you're getting chunks of color from the combo spin, and maybe I'll lose that if I alternate skeins. I just don't want any major jumps in color. That's my biggest thing. And I did eliminate one of the fibers that I was using in that because it wasn't spinning very well. So I used it like in my first bobbin and then didn't use it again, I think. So that one wouldn't be present. I don't know. I may just start on it, and if I don't like how it's turning out, I'll rip it out and then I'll alternate skeins. But I do think this is going to be the next sweater I cast on, just because I've had the yarn set aside. I mean, I spun it specifically for this project, and I think it's time I do that. So that's probably going to be my next sweater. The only other well, no, that's not true. I was going to say the only other sweater I want to work on one of the other sweaters that I really want to start is, do I have the name written down? It's called A Good Vintage Cardigan, and it's by Fran Morgan. It was originally published in Simply Crochet magazine in 2017. It's a crocheted, it looks like a granny stripe blanket is what it is. It's granny stripes. And I want to do that out of fingering weight scraps alternated with just my plain white, plain vanilla color yarn. But I'm not going to start that one until I finish this shawl. When I'm done crocheting the shawl, then I will start that sweater, because that's crochet. And I can have crochet on the needles along with another sweater. But I don't want two crochet projects going on at the same time. I'm exercising a little bit of restraint. So anyway, those are the things I have coming up that I will be working on. I have a couple of other patterns that I have printed out and I'd really like to work on too, but again, I'm not letting myself start a lot of garments because I just know that they won't happen if I do that. So we'll see. The other thing is I really would like to be sewing. I've got the bug. I've been amassing sewing patterns lately. I have a lot of sewing patterns that I've purchased over the years from, I don't remember the designer now. I'll try to put it down here if I remember. Anyway, I've got a bunch of her patterns. I've seen a bunch of really cute patterns recently that people have been making. I've got lots of fabric. Yeah, some sewing needs to be happening. So we'll see. Stay tuned on the sewing. Other than that, I don't really have anything else 90% to tell you, other than I was going to say Stash Dash has started. Are any of you guys doing Stash Dash this year? I'm sure many of you are. If you don't know what Stash Dash is, it is a competition against yourself hosted by the Knit Girls, Leslie and Laura, every summer. I think this is like their, I don't know, 7th or 8th year doing it. And it is just that. It's like you're competing against yourself. You set your own goal for how much you want to do, yardage. Actually, they measure in meterage. So you can set goals in their group. I think it's like, 1,000 meters. So there's like a 1K, there's a 5K, there's a 10K. You do it all in meters, which is easy because if you're putting your projects in Ravelry, it's very easy to convert from yardage to meterage. Ravelry does it for you. I've participated in Stash Dash many years. Now, I know I didn't do it last year. I don't remember if I did it the year before or not. The last time I did it, I was crazy, and I did over 10,000 meters in the course of Stash Dash, which runs through the summer. It runs usually roughly Memorial Day weekend through Labor Day weekend, I think, or maybe shortly before Labor Day weekend. Laura works in the school system, and so she usually does it from the time she's done working until she goes back to school. It's kind of Laura's baby. Anyway, they did just put out a podcast this past week specifically about the Stash Dash 2020 and the guidelines for that. So you can check that out, or you can go to their group and see all the thread there. I will try to remember to link to both of those. I was not planning to take part in Stash Dash this year. However, I've heard a couple people talking about it, and then I watched their video because I think it just started to autoplay the other day when I was working and it came up. So I watched it. I thought, maybe I will. Anytime I've ever done it before, though, I've always done it with the mindset of really, really challenging myself to get a lot of meterage done. And I'm not in that mindset right now. And so I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it as a way to use it as an encouragement for myself to get specific projects done. That sweater that I just talked about, the weekender, I would like to get that done this summer. I would like to finish that shawl. And that's the nice thing. If you have things in progress that you're still working on from prior to when this started, you can count the meterage for the whole project if you finished it. it's kind of, some people kind of think that's cheating, but whatever. It's, again, it's against yourself. So they kind of are to the point where it's like, you do you, whatever makes you happy. It's a pandemic. Just do what makes you feel good. So anyway, I think that's what I'm gonna do. Later today, I'm gonna take some time and I'm gonna make a list of the projects that I would really like to work on this summer. Not really counting yardage per se or meterage, just things that I know I want to get done, and maybe having stash dash as sort of a very loose goal might be a good motivator. I don't feel the need to be motivated. Like, my mojo's okay right now. I'm probably not going to put much on it for spinning, just because spinning isn't really happening, mainly because my husband is in my spinning area, and so it makes it hard for me to go out there and spin. I know I could move my wheel, but I don't really have any place else that's comfortable in the house to sit and spin. We'll probably not add spinning to my list for the summer, but I'll add knitting and crocheting and probably some weaving. And I'm probably going to draw from things that I had on my 20 and 20 list too, because that might help me get refocused on my 20 and 20 lists. Because even though I have been working on some things from that, I've also been, falling prey to, ooh, shiny, and wanting to do the new things too. So that might be a good way for me to kind of pull back in some of those 20 and 20 items. I didn't mention 20 and 20. 20 and 20 is our year-long challenge going on in the group, for you to, try to either use 20 stash yarns that you might want to use throughout the year, or get 20 patterns done that you've had in your library that you want to knit, or what have you, or fiber that you've wanted to spin that you have. 20 different fibers, or a combination of all those. You can find information about that in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group too. That's ongoing all year. The lists are closed for right now. They'll open again the first week of June? No. January, February, March, April, May, June. The first week of July. First 2 weeks of July. So you have a little bit of time to wait before those lists are opened, or if you want to add a list, you can do that when the lists are open in July. But all of that information is in that thread in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group, which I will link to in the show notes. Okay, I think that is everything that I had for 90%. Let's talk about 10%. Again, my daughter is home. I would say it was unexpected, but it wasn't completely unexpected. She had talked to us, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago, about the prospect of her moving back from North Carolina and coming up here. She's been in North Carolina for, I think, 6 years now, because she went to school down there and then she graduated and she was working down there. But some circumstances have changed and now she wanted to come back home. And that was awesome because I've missed her. It's kind of weird trying to, facilitate a move in the midst of a pandemic. But I think we did it the best way possible. She managed that, and it didn't involve either Belle or I having to go down and get her, which was nice. She came up on her own. So minimal external contact, and she's fine. She is housed in my yarn room, which meant moving all of my inventory yarn out of there for the time being, which wasn't a problem. It's all in bins anyway at this point. So yeah, but she's here, so that's nice. And she's also a vegetarian, so I can now cook meatless meals for her as well as for me, so that's kind of fun. Let's see what else. Let me look at my list. We're planning to do a garden. I know I've talked about this off and on, and I think my husband's actually going to get the rototiller out this weekend and till up a spot for Emma and I to garden, because Emma wants to garden too. So, fingers crossed that actually happens. I'm looking up there. I can see the area through the woods where the garden will be. Hopefully that'll happen. And also, we have a lot of outside house projects that we need to do this summer. So it was funny, after Bill and I ate lunch today, he's like, hey, can you come outside and walk around with me for a little bit and talk? And the way he said it made it sound like kind of nice and romantic. And then he handed me a notebook and a pencil, and he's like, here, take notes. Like, okay. So it wasn't a romantic walk around, but we did talk about different projects. We need to redo our back deck, which is where I often record in the nice weather, except I can't access it now because I can't get to it because his desk is right in front of the door. But we need to redo that. We have some painting projects outside that need to happen. Sorry, I keep looking up there because that's where the house is. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of stuff that we're hoping to get done this year, which will be nice because they've needed to get done, and he can't do them all himself. So I will be doing them. Hopefully maybe Emma will help too. We'll see how it goes, but we at least outlined some of the plans for that. What in the world is that noise? I think it's a tree blowing against another tree. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so that's it for 10% really. You know, kind of, we're low key right now. It's nice. It's that early summer low keyness. Shop news. Let me get to that. So, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, the holiday mini sets will be going up for pre-order on June 1st. And this year's collections are called the Holiday Pops collection. They are going to be skeins that alternate between semi-solids or semi-tonal colors and very, very speckled colorways. They're all going to be new colorways again this year. I'm designing them all so that they will work in a flow, like if you want to knit one project using all of the skeins, one after another, they'll work that way. Or you can use them individually, but I'm designing them so that they should work that way. If you aren't into a lot of speckles, this is probably not going to be the collection for you. I'll just put that out there up front. But if you like speckles and enjoy the fun of them, then they should be good for you. I'm offering them on, okay, so they're going up for pre-order June 1st, but I'm leaving the pre-orders open the entire month of June. So please don't feel like you have to hop in there and get signed up the first day. That's not the case. You'll have the whole entire month of June to sign up. They'll ship by November 1st. I have made, the sets are a little different this year in that there won't be any combination sets of multiple yarn bases. They're all going to be single yarn base sets, but I've given you a bunch of choices. You can choose between Bounce, Bedazzled, Heavenly, which is my MCN base, Traveler, which is my sport weight base, or Cozy, which is my worsted weight base. All the superwash bases. So yeah, you'll be able to do any one of those. Your whole set will come in whichever base you choose. I'm also adding fiber back in as an option this year because I did have requests for it last year after I didn't do it. So I have two fiber options. You can either choose Falkland or Polworth Silk. So those are those options. The colors will be similar in the fiber choice. If you do fiber, they won't be able to be exactly the same as the yarn just because of the techniques that I'll be using with the yarn, but they'll be fraternally the same, if that makes sense to you. Okay, go away, bug. What else can I tell you about them? As I did last year, you have the option to pay the whole thing up front. Oh, there's Chipmunk. For your whole set up front and get a 10% discount, or you can choose to pay in two payments, one in June and then another in July. If that's helpful to you, you don't get a discount for it that way, but I know that's easier for some people, so that's an option. This year I did it so that I worked the shipping costs into the cost for the entire set. So the nice part about that, not only does that make things easier on my end, but it also means that if you do pay the 100% upfront, for the whole set up front, you are getting a discount on your shipping costs as well as the costs of the yarn. In the past, the discount was only on the yarn, not on the shipping. But because it's built in, it's on the whole thing. Yeah, so like I said, I have all of the details spelled out in the Ravelry group in a thread and in a post on, or a page on the website that you can get to. I will, oh gosh, I am sorry, I'm so fidgety right now, but like I feel like bugs are everywhere. These little tiny gnats. Anyway, in the group and on the website, I will link to both in the show notes. If you have any questions, please email me, fibernymph@gmail.com. That's the best way to get a hold of me for anything shop related. Please always email me, because trying to get a hold of me through Ravelry or through social media messages, I just can't guarantee that I'll get them or that I will ever get them in a timely manner. Speaking of which, if you have left a comment on any of my recent YouTube videos, actually not even just recent, if you've ever left a comment and I have not commented back or liked it or what have you, it's not because I haven't been I've been ignoring you. I haven't been getting notifications about them. I didn't even know they were there. And for whatever reason, one YouTube notification popped in from my last video. It was the first one I'd gotten in quite a while. And when I went to respond to it, I had like dozens of comments that you guys have left that I never even knew were there. So I greatly apologize for that. That was not on purpose. It's just, for whatever reason, YouTube is not sending out notifications about comments. So I have to try to be better about looking for them. Let's see, what else? So that is the mini collections. The game night colorways that I had in the shop new the last time. I didn't have them at the last update, but I told you about them, but I did do a little mini video about them, so hopefully you saw that. They're still in the shop. I'm doing all of those as dye to order items, so they're still all available in all of the bases. There's like 10 different base options for any of those, so feel free to check those out. I already told you about the spring clearance sale. That's going on now through the end of the month, and I'm going to be adding some grab bags soon. By the time this is up, the grab bags will be in the shop. I went this week and just had decided to have some fun and dyed up a bunch of get off there. Sorry. I dyed up a bunch of what I had left of some luxury bases that I have, and you've seen these bases before. Do you remember the camel silk that I did for the Color Play 2 sets, or the Color Play 2 colorways? I had that camel silk. I didn't have a lot of it, but I had some left and I wanted to use it up. So I dyed up all the rest of the camel silk. I dyed up what I had left of my yak base, my Linnaeus base. And I dyed up what I had left. I had one bag of my lace weight, my Elegance lace weight, which I hardly ever dye, which is why I had the one bag of it. I dyed all of those up on just some of your favorite semi-solid colorways, essentially. So I'll show those to you real quick. This is graphite, which this is on the camel silk, which is that golden color to begin with, which is why this is not super gray looking, but that's how it looks on here. And then this is on Linnaeus. I didn't have any lace weight left by the time I did this one, so graphite is only on these two colors, or on these two bases. Then I have Peacock. I just love how differently they look on these three bases. So here's Peacock on lace weight, on Elegance, on Linnaeus, and then on the camel silk. And because these are semi-solids, the camel silk, the lighter areas, you will probably... What was that? I don't know. The camel silk in the lighter areas, I'm not sure, here, like right here, you can see it's very light, so you can see a lot of that gold coming through on there. So just be aware of that. Then I have Warm Honey on all three bases. So I just love how this turned out. This is a really good color. It complemented all of these really well. And then Eggplant, and oh my goodness, why is this damp? Oh no. Oh, I know. It's just my water. My water bottle must have leaked. So I'll hang, I'll hang the skeins up and make sure they dry. I'm like, why? Why is this damp so much? That's why. Merlot, sorry. So never fear, it's nothing bad. It's just water on the yarn. Anyway, so yeah, I have those 5 colors. My goodness, now I don't want to put them back in this bag, but I have to. All right, well, you guys just get down there and I'll dry you out when we get back up to the house. Oh my gosh. Hot mess, guys. Hot mess right now. So that is that. I'm going to be putting those in the shop, and again, these should also be in the shop. This isn't like a regular update or anything. It's just I'm adding those in. They will be in the shop by the time this video is up. And once the camel silk is gone, it's gone. I won't have that ever again. The Linnaeus and the Elegance, though, even though I don't have any more of it in stock right now to dye, I definitely will be getting more of the Linnaeus at some point. And the Elegance, I can get at any time. So if you ever want it, like for a special order or something, you can just let me know, and I'd be happy to get it for you. Get it, into my inventory. Okay, the other thing I wanted to show you was my exclusive colorway that I'm doing for the splash pad party. I'm a Pro Shop sponsor, so if you use any of my yarns, you get special credit for the splash pad party points, or however that works. I can't speak to that really well because it's not my program. It's over in the Downseller studio though, so you can learn about it there. But because I'm a Pro Shop sponsor, I can do an exclusive colorway, and if you use my exclusive colorway, you get even more points. So that's what this is. So it is a 5-stripe colorway, and they repeat in the same order, but the stripe widths alternate. So I had some fun with that new striping design, and I named it Bright Spots because I think we all need some bright spots right now. So that will be, again, this is exclusive. I'm offering it as the exclusive colorway for the splash pad party, so it'll only be available through the time the splash pad party is going on, and then I won't have it in the shop again until next year. However, you don't have to be participating in the splash pad party to purchase it. If you like the colorway and you want to buy it, you can buy it regardless of whether you're taking part in that or not. Okay, let me check my show notes, see if there's anything else I'm forgetting. Oh, color play number 3 will be coming. I have part of it dyed already. I'm planning to release that in an update on the 29th, so that'll be this coming Friday, Friday the 29th at noon. And all of the colorways for that will also be dye to order. Again, I'm going to be doing things as dye to order for the most part for the foreseeable future, just because I can give you more options and I can turn things around fairly quickly. The only, I think, things like this that I dye up kind of spur of the moment, those will be in stock when I do Throwback Thursday colorways, which I'm trying to decide which one I want to do next. I'm trying to decide between 2. They won't be up this Thursday, but hopefully the following Thursday I'll have another Throwback Thursday. Those I'll always have in stock for you, but new colorways I'm going to be putting up as dye to order for the foreseeable future. It's just an inventory management thing for me, and again, it makes it easier for me to offer you more choices. I think that's everything. Have a lovely rest of your weekend, whether you're celebrating Memorial Day or not celebrating Memorial Day and just having a weekend. I hope it's a good one, and I will talk to you again at the beginning of June. So take care. Bye.